Without any rock and roll, you can love nobody without any stop and go. Take a beat of a different drummer, take a good time along with you. Alrighty, hello VC, Uncle Roddus again, quite quickly with a second video in almost a week. First of all, a great big thank you and hello to Ben Costello, because I've got a few VLTC records that have arrived from Ben yesterday, and I'm pretty wrapped. I've already opened them up and had a look at them and given them a clean and a listen, so I'll get straight into it and show what he sent me. So we've got a 12-inch 45 single here from the Screaming Blue Messiahs. So Ben, yes, this is a band that I am familiar with, and I had their first album way back then, so I knew this song. Don't have that record anymore, so yeah, that's cool. Recognise stuff. Two of the songs off this, the A side and one of the B sides. So that's a cool score. Good choice. Next choice, another 12-inch. I don't know what you call a maxi single. Covers in very good nick. This is Pete Shelley's Homo Sapien. Ben, I don't know whether you actually spotted on an earlier video that I actually got this album not that long ago. It was an album that I had when we were at, probably at high school, I think, that we were into. Yeah, great song, great album, and thank you very much. Good choice again. Interesting, I don't know whether you noticed in this, Ben, was this little laminated print off. It's got the lyrics of the song on one side and some information about the recording that someone's put together fairly recently. I don't know whether you did that or not. That's quite cool. And next one that you sent from our man is another band that I was familiar and really big into back in the day, Big Audio Dynamite. This is a double EP, or no, a double 12-inch 45, I guess you call it. So it's got a gatefold. So this is pretty cool. I've never seen one like this before, to be honest. So we've got E equals MC squared on one of them and Medicine Show on the other. So it's a 4-track double pack, limited edition, mate. Awesome. Yeah. So Big Audio Dynamite was. Yeah, I got right into them in their first album. I love them, fantastic band. Don't actually own anything on record at the moment, so this is really cool. So I was pretty much familiar with most of this material, and it had been something I've been thinking about. I was actually keeping an eye open for their first album, so that will tie me over for that. And finally, and the pick of the bunch, my friend, is this little beauty here. Now, I don't know whether you noticed that I've started collecting a few soul jazz compilations, and this one here is pretty cool. So like most of the soul jazz records that I have picked up, compilations that I've picked up, which are all really recent ones, whereas this one is from 2001. It's a double album, plays at 33, but has pretty much 2 to 3 songs per side, so not a lot of music per side, about 15 minutes max per side, which is exactly what they did on all of the other ones that I bought, apart from that jazz one I flashed last video, which, because of the extended tracks on it, probably was clocking in a little bit longer. But yeah, anyway, some great stuff on here, Ben. This is a good choice because I love Throbbing Gristle. I remember the Human League. I used to have the album with the Human Leagues being boiled on it. Actually, I may have it on CD. Gang of Four I'm very familiar with. I love that band. I'm not so familiar with 23 Skidoo. Let's see who else we got. Cabaret Voltaire, great, and the Pop Group are 2 bands I love. Very funky selection, this lot. These weren't funky bands, particularly funky bands, although I guess Gang of Four was reasonably funky. I wouldn't call Throbbing Gristle funky. Human League were more electro. yeah, but great compilation, great set of bands. Yeah, really stoked with that, mate. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Ben, well done. So I quickly actually had a listen to those this morning because I'm actually on a mission, so to speak, this month. As I mentioned in my last video, possibly, May this year is, May for the last few years has been New Zealand Music Month. New Zealand Music Month, I don't know what relevance it particularly has anymore, but it was something that was introduced quite a while back, and I think it used to be in October actually, just to help support and promote New Zealand music. New Zealand music was fairly neglected by the mainstream back in the 80s and earlier. You know, I mean, we've had some good stuff come through and some successful artists, but you know, the amount of radio play that New Zealand artists were getting was very small, and you know, in New Zealand, and mainly most of the music that I was familiar with from the older times in the 80s especially was via student radio. I'm not sure what sort of impact it has, but I do know that probably in a similar time frame to when they started having New Zealand Music Months each year, they had a quota. The government actually passed a bill saying that the quota for New Zealand radio had to be 20% of New Zealand content, which was really good, and I think that had a huge impact on New Zealand music, and it's certainly a lot more high profile locally than it used to be. I mean, there's always been good music around, and there always will be, and there is now, but yeah, it certainly had a big impact. So my because it's New Zealand Music Month, I don't have a huge collection of New Zealand music, so you know, sad to say. Not in saying that, I am quite familiar with a lot of what's happened in the scene over the last 30 years, and I've seen a few bands, and I know a lot of records, and although I don't own a lot of them, I'm certainly familiar with a lot of them, and I've got quite a few on CD, of course. So yesterday I went into town, had some chores to do in the city, and have a trailer half full of scrap copper from work, and I needed to get that emptied, so I took that in, and that is my record spending, ways of getting money for record spending. So I said to myself that this month was going to be only purchasing New Zealand music. So I went into my one and only local record shop, because there's not many left in Christchurch, and went into their New Zealand music bins and had a look through that and the new releases bins. And to be honest, the pickings were a little bit slim. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that I was familiar with, which really didn't interest me, and a lot of older stuff that's not that great. You know, some old 70s bluegrassy type stuff, which is not that into, and you know, a lot of solo stuff that I'm not that into. It's fairly commercial stuff, but anyway, we did pick up some interesting finds. I pretty much cleaned out everything that interests me in both the new releases bin. There might have been a couple that I could have thought about possibly buying, but then decided no, I didn't really need them. Fetal Mania, this is an EP, 6-track EP from 1984, I think, from memory. It's got 6 tracks on it. I actually had a copy of this back in the day, and I even think it was it? Recorded in Sydney. I thought it said something about on Discogs it was a Flying Nun release, but there's actually nothing about Flying Nun on here, and there's certainly nothing on the label in the middle, so it may actually be. Ah, there it is, Flying Nun. Yes, sorry, I tell a lie. Yep, okay. So that was a Flying Nun record, so that was a pretty cool score, and it's in really good nick. And then in the new bins I found, these are in not the order, I found this one here, Beast Wars, called to the Death of All Things. This is a new album out earlier this year. This is fairly hard rock, heavy metal hard rock verging on it. Some places remind me of more alternative rock, maybe like Therapy or something. It kind of reminded me of that. I've only had one listen so far. Yeah, I quite like it, it's not too bad. The guys are actually, they're not spring chickens. You can see there's a picture of them, but I don't know how long they've been around. I'd never heard of them before until I sort of seen this record floating around on Facebook from some New Zealand collectors. So yeah, certainly not a bunch of spring chickens there. So that's pretty cool, yeah. And then I was quite rapt to find this. There's not a lot of jazz comes out of New Zealand, which is interesting. I mean, there's a few records around, but they don't turn up that often. I mean, and I don't know what the quality of it's like, but Mike Knock, he's a fairly old gentleman now. He's around about 75. He's been around for quite a while, of course. And this album from 1986. I did see a date on it. I think it was something around 86. Some of the stuff's been recorded back in the 70s and early 80s. Yeah. So maybe it came out in 86. Anyway, this is really nice. This is good. He's a piano player, and he's a really good piano player. He's probably one of our top exports. He actually lives in Sydney nowadays. Got reasonably big size discography and has played with quite a lot of well-known jazzers, particularly Yusuf Lateef, I think his name is. So I'm pleased about that. I'll certainly be keeping an eye out for more Mike Knock. And then this one here is another one that I'm wasn't familiar with so much, but it's been floating around on a Facebook page that I'm, I New Zealand guys mainly, and this lady is just a young lady from Christchurch, I'm pretty sure. It's on Littleton Records, which is a Christchurch based. I think it's Christchurch. Littleton is actually just over the hill from Christchurch. It's the harbour. It's also got Flying Out stamps, so it's in association with Flying Out, which is a online record store, which is where I buy some stuff from. She sounds very Irish, quite an Irish lilt to her singing, although I don't think she is Irish as far as I'm aware. And also in Faces, I got, when I listened to her, I've listened to this twice now, she reminded me a little bit of Kirsten Hirsch from Throwing Muses when she's in her more quieter acoustic moments. But yeah, quite traditional sounding folk, but very nice, laid back. And this is another, these are all New Zealand artists, as I said. Then we have our lady Tammy again. There I've shown Tammy before, Tammy Nielsen. This is her 2014 album Dynamite. Again, I think it's a self-release thing. She's done quite a lot of the tracks are written with Delaney Davidson, and it's very country, but with a bit of a modern twist, like her newer one. I don't like this as much as the new one. I think her new one's stronger, got more strong material. It's certainly more varied, which might put some people off, because I was actually talking to my friend at the record shop that I used to go to school with, and he prefers this album. Anyway, she's playing in Christchurch again later this month, somehow as part of the Jazz Festival, and I'm not quite sure how that works, but she's doing a set at the Cathedral, which is a seated thing. She did a church tour last year, so she's doing that again. I'm not sure if it's just a one-off gig, but we've got tickets to go and see that, so that's really cool. Next one is, well, I'm not sure if you call it a classic or not. This is the Knobs. The Knobs were a Wellington band. This is from 1980, Sudden Exposure. Now the reason I brought this was because there's a song on side one called Culture. Culture was a massive song here in New Zealand in 1980. It's a bit of a piss take at the then Prime Minister and the record taxes that he was introducing at the time. They had one of the video got massive airplay on the local music programs at the time. Not sure how high on the charts it got now, but I certainly had a lot of exposure to it, and I loved it. It was a great song. So I've actually only managed to get through one side of this. It's not as good as that song, and it's not particularly, the Culture song is kind of a new wave, quite fast, up tempo. Some of this is a little bit slower, so you've got a tinge of reggae to it. It's reasonably poppy. They were sort of new 80s. They had that image, they dressed in suits, that kind of moddy, dressed in suits, sort of jam type image. Anyway, need to revisit that a bit more. And then we get into the more weirder stuff. Now this one here, I first saw this from Christian in Melbourne on one of his videos. He picked up a copy over there. I wasn't familiar with it. From Scratch, 1985. Flying Nun record release, and it's also from scratch. Philip David Dedson, Wayne Laird, and Don McGlashan, that was a surprise. Don McGlashan, I love Don McGlashan. So he was originally a drummer from memory, and Blam Blam Blam, I think. So from scratch, it's pretty different. As you can see, the instruments that they're playing on the front there. So yeah, so got some pretty good sounds on it. Next up is this one, 6 Volts. Now again, I knew this band and I've seen them around, the records around over the many years. Never really thought about it too much, but I saw it there, and it's reasonably hard to get now. And you know, I've matured in my taste in music, and I think that I can handle this. It's you know, a little bit avant-garde-y, jazzy, poppy, a lot of cover versions, and some interesting cover versions, particularly Black Dog by Led Zeppelin, which is like you'd never heard before. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, this is a really fun album. I really like it, yeah. And like I say, not that easy to come by. And finally, the last one, again, another group that I was familiar with. This is the only album they put out, and it's the Primitive Art Group, and it's Future Jaw Clap. Now, I'm pretty sure I've probably seen their EP around in the old days, and I definitely know this. I definitely knew the name of the band, and I had a pretty good idea of what sort of music it was. Again, it's similar to 6 Volts, but a little bit more serious, a little bit more jazzy, a little bit more free. Also reminds me a little bit of that C.I. Bob CD that I was playing the other day, which I posted on the CD site on Facebook. Again, fairly rare-ish thing. I didn't pay a huge amount of money for it, and interesting enough, some bloody, and he's a guy who's got a few things that I want up in the North Island on Discogs, is trying to sell this for $250 New Zealand dollars, which I think is rubbish. I paid less than $40 for it, so which is fair enough. I mean, it's not something that's going to be hugely popular with people, but I like it. It's a little bit different, it's a little bit out there, and it's a little bit more of the weirder side of New Zealand music, so that's cool. And I nearly forgot, on the back here, playing in the background, this is from 1973. Now, not strictly New Zealand, although they're not all dark-skinned guys. There's a white guy in here, but this is a band that's apparently from Fiji. Mantis, Turn On To Music, 1973 is their only album. This is hugely rare. This is a reissue. This is an official reissue from what I can tell, through Vertigo. See, it's got the Vertigo swirl on it. Interestingly enough, I had a look at it. I mean, it was sealed. It's definitely a new issue. It's got some good, some right up on here, which is obviously a bit more modern, with some clippings about them playing in Wellington and when they recorded this album in Wellington. But there's no barcode, there's no reissue date, there's no information that actually says this is a reissue, which is quite interesting. So they've really gone full replica. I will double check on Discogs, but I had a look on Discogs, and the original's never been sold on Discogs, and if it was, I would imagine it would be quite a few $100s. There are about 4 unofficial reissues on LP over the years, from sort of like the 90s. I'm pretty sure this one is an official reissue, and I hope it is, because I'm not really into buying unofficial reissues. That doesn't really support the guys that made the music, to be honest. Anyway, so yeah, another video around in a short turnaround from last week. So that certainly has almost doubled my New Zealand vinyl collection. Almost, not quite. So I'll be playing those quite often over the next month, and enjoying the hell out of them, because there's not actually anything there that I didn't like. I have listened to pretty much all of it, apart from the rest of that Knobs record. It's probably the one I'm a bit disappointed with that, it wasn't as good. I mean, I didn't pay a lot of money for it, but you know, it's not as good as I was hoping. Damn it. Anyway, thank you again, Mr. Costello, all the way from Ireland, for your VTLC. What a fantastic package to arrive home to, and mate, you know, you're a legend. And hope you're all well, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers.